It was just past 1:30 on a quiet Thursday afternoon when the door to Carol's diner slammed open so hard the little cowbell above it flew off and shattered against the doorframe. The clatter made everyone inside pause. A girl, no more than 11, burst through the doorway. Her hair was tangled, her yellow dress ripped at the shoulder, and her feet were bare and bloodied from running. She froze for just a second, scanning the room like a wild animal, then stumbled forward, voice trembling, breath ragged. "Please," she whispered. Then again louder. "Please, someone, he's coming." The diner had emptied out after the lunch rush, with only a few regulars left inside. Carol, the owner, was wiping down the counter, humming softly to herself before the chaos hit. Two truckers sat near the window sipping on their third cups of coffee, and in the far corner, a booth was occupied by three men who stood out without trying to. Leather jackets, faded jeans, road-worn boots, not the kind of folks most would expect to be heroes, but when the girl's eyes scanned the room, it was them she locked onto, like some part of her had already decided they were safe. Jack, the oldest among them, set his fork down with slow, deliberate calm. His weathered hands rested flat on the table, eyes sharp and steady beneath the brim of his cap. Beside him sat Big Mike, wide as a barn door with a quiet stillness that could stop a charging bull. Across from them, Danny leaned back, arms crossed, a faint scar visible beneath the edge of his sleeve. No one spoke. The room had shifted, tension drawn tight. Then Jack stood up. His chair slid back with a low scrape on the linoleum floor. "Who's coming, sweetheart?" he asked, voice deep, steady, the kind that could hold back a storm. And just like that, the road called again, not with engines this time, but with the cry of a child. Lily pressed herself against the counter as if the stainless steel edge was the only solid thing left in her world. Her breaths were sharp, fast, as though she had been running forever with fear pushing her forward. Jack took a small step toward her, careful not to spook the terrified child. His voice stayed calm and low, smooth like a quiet road at sunset. "Tell me who is coming," he said. The little girl swallowed hard, her eyes flicking toward the door, as if she expected a shadow to burst through at any second. "Mr. Daniels," she said, her voice barely more than a breath. "He said nobody would believe me. He said I make things up." The way she said it, not angry, not dramatic, just tired, made something tighten inside Jack's chest. And then, the door opened again. The man who stepped in looked like every parent-teacher meeting wrapped into one. Neat polo shirt tucked into pressed khaki pants, short-cropped salt and pepper hair, and a practiced half-smile that seemed designed to reassure. He carried authority the way some men carry a wallet always at hand, ready to be flashed. "There you are, Lily," he said with a gentle laugh, trying to sound like the hero in a movie rather than the villain in a nightmare. "Sweetheart, you had me so worried." End quote. Lily curled away from him like a leaf folding from cold. Carol stepped forward automatically, as any adult might when a child seems lost. "Sir, maybe we should," she began. But Lily cut in with a trembling shout. "No, he is not supposed to be here." The man's expression flickered, something dark and irritated slipping beneath that polite veneer. He turned back to the room with an apologetic gesture. "She gets confused at times," he explained. "I am Richard Daniels, a counselor at Maple Grove Elementary. Lily has trouble separating stories from reality. I am here to take her home." Danny shifted in his seat, posture stiffening. Big Mike's eyes narrowed, his jaw tightening as he studied every move the man made. Jack asked, "Is that right? You her guardian?" The man's smile tightened. "For now, yes. Her parents are out of town. I volunteered to check on her when she did not show up to school. Children like Lily can be fragile. They run off when they feel overwhelmed." Every word sounded polished, overly smooth, like a rock, with all the sharp edges sanded away. Lily shook her head violently. "My parents are in Phoenix for my grandma's funeral. That's why he waited today. He has been watching me. He waits for the kids nobody watches." Jack kept his voice steady. "We can call the school. Confirm everything." For the first time, Daniels hesitated. Only a half-second pause. But it was there, and Jack saw it. Carol already had the phone in her hand. "What is the principal's name, honey?" Mrs. Jensen, Lily answered without hesitation. Please call her. She knows me. She knows I do not lie. Daniels gave an awkward laugh, but there was steel beneath it now. Well, it is after hours. I doubt she will answer, he said, the fake warmth cooling with every word. And this really is not up for discussion. We need to leave. Now. He reached toward Lily. Jack stepped between them before Daniels's fingers came close. No threat, no raised voice. Just presence. Solid. Unmovable. You can leave when the adults here know what is actually going on, Jack said. Daniels's eyes hardened. You do not know who you are interfering with. Big Mike stood up fully then. To a man like Daniels, it must have felt like a mountain rising. What we know, he said, voice like low thunder, is that she chose this diner. She ran in here. She asked us for help. So until we hear someone who outranks you on the phone, you are not taking her anywhere. Lily clutched Jack's sleeve. He took Sarah, she whispered, voice cracking. 3 weeks ago, everyone said she moved, but she did not. Tears shimmered in her eyes, but she held them back like someone who had learned crying often changed nothing. I saw her backpack in his car. No one moved. No one even breathed. Danny's voice cut through the heavy silence. That is pretty specific for a kid who is just confused. Daniels did not smile this time. The masks people wear often slip when nobody believes their lies. Jack felt the truth in Lily's voice before the evidence ever came. Years on the road had sharpened his instincts. People lied with their faces, their posture, even their breath. But Lily's fear was real. It was raw and steady, in a way no child should ever have to carry. Jack looked down at her, then back at the man claiming to be her guardian. Daniels lifted his chin, voice turning sharper. Let me say this again. She is overwhelmed, she panics, and she is saying things she does not understand. I am the professional here. Big Mike stepped forward, just slightly, enough to make the air tense. Professionals do not get offended when someone offers to verify the truth. Carol, phone to her ear, spoke softly. I am calling Principal Jensen. We will see what she says. She turned away, listening to the phone ring, and Lily clung to the edge of Jack's jacket, like it was the last scrap of safety she had left. Danny's gaze stayed locked on Daniels, watching every twitch of his jaw, every nervous shift of his weight. You said she has trouble telling the truth, he said. Then how come she knows exactly which teacher is her principal, her parents' travel plans, and the name of a missing classmate you forgot to mention? Daniel scoffed, though the sound came out tight and forced. Children gossip. They overhear things. It is not unusual. Lily shook her head. He watches kids. He waits until they are alone. He offers rides. He tells them nobody will care. Her eyes glossed with unshed tears, but her voice held firm. He told me I would disappear and no one would notice. Jack kneeled so he could meet her at eye level. Why today? He asked gently. Why run to us? She took a shaky breath. My parents left for Phoenix last night. Grandma's funeral is tomorrow. I told my dad I did not want to stay late after school anymore. Mr. Daniels heard him. Her fingers twisted into the fabric of Jack's coat. He smiled when he heard. That kind of smile, that's wrong. He waited. And today I saw the key. This quite. With the dations and considerations and 77 to... Jack frowned. What key, sweetheart? Lily swallowed hard. He has a storage unit by the highway. A metal door with a rust spot shaped like a heart. The key slipped out of his pocket during art class. I picked it up before he noticed. On the side, it had the number 19. She blinked rapidly, as if replaying the memory. Sarah's backpack was inside his car. If he kept that, what else did he keep? The diner seemed to inhale and hold its breath. Danny murmured, This sounds planned. Thought out. Jack could feel anger simmering low and steady beneath his ribs, the kind that made him careful rather than reckless. He stood again, turning to Daniels. We are calling the police. They can sort this out. Daniels took a step back, frustration cracking his professional facade. This is harassment, he snapped. You bikers think you know better? You are going to get yourselves in serious trouble. You have no rights here. Jack did not flinch. Maybe not. But she does. He motioned to Lily with his chin. And we are not taking her word as confusion. We are taking it as a warning. Carol's voice cut through the tension. I got through, she said, her expression suddenly changing. Principal Jensen says Lily was marked missing this morning. They called the emergency contact. That contact was you, Mr. Daniels. You told them you would check her house. Her voice wavered. Police were already notified. Without it, silence followed, thick as storm air, before lightning strikes. Daniels did not speak. For just a blink, his eyes emptied of charm, stripped bare of the friendly school counselor act. In that instant, everyone finally saw what Lily had been running from. And in that same instant, Jack knew the truth beyond doubt. This was not a misunderstanding. This was danger standing in front of them wearing a borrowed smile. Daniels stood perfectly still for a moment, as if his mind was sprinting through exits and excuses faster than his body could follow. The polite mask he wore earlier no longer fit. He looked smaller now, not physically, but in the way someone does when the truth starts clawing through their lies. His voice, once smooth and rehearsed, came out rough. You people do not know what you are doing, he hissed. Jack did not raise his voice. He never needed to. Calm could be more powerful than rage. What we are doing, he said evenly, is listening. Something adults forget to do when kids are scared. Danny moved closer to Lily, not crowding her, just close enough that, if she stumbled again, she would not fall. Big Mike positioned himself beside the door, his broad shoulders blocking any easy escape. He did not threaten. He simply existed as a barrier that no man with a guilty heart would dare push through. Daniel slowly reached toward his pocket again. Jack reacted without hesitation, his hand closing around Daniel's wrist in one swift motion. Hands where we can see them, Jack said. The room did not erupt. It contracted, tightening around the moment like a fist. Daniels jerked his arm, trying to break free. Take your hands off me. This is assault. I will have you all arrested. I will ruin you. His voice climbed, but his confidence did not follow. Fear was creeping into the edges now, showing itself in the widening of his eyes and the tremble in his jaw. Carol spoke into the phone again, relaying urgent details to the operator. Her voice was steady now, as if something inside her had shifted from doubt to certainty. Lily clung to the side of the counter, every muscle braced for another chase, another moment where no one believed her. But this time, she had a wall of leather and resolve standing between her and the nightmare. Big Mike leaned down slightly, meeting Daniel's eye to eye. You have not shown one piece of proof you are who you say you are, he said, voice like distant thunder. And the kid is saying something real specific, real consistent. He nodded toward Lily. That is not panic. That is memory. Daniels's expression curdled. I am a respected counselor, he spat. I have worked with troubled children for more than 15 years. You are nobody. A bunch of washed-up bikers, pretending you are heroes. You are did. Jack's answer was soft, almost gentle. We are not pretending anything. We are standing where a child asked us to stand. Danny crossed his arms. And nobody is leaving until the police get here. Daniels glared at them, breath coming quicker now. This town will believe me over you. People like you are always the bad guys, he said, a broken edge creeping into his tone. That is how the world works. Jack looked at Lily before replying. Not today, he said. Because today, she spoke up. And we heard her. Lily's eyes glimmered with something new, not fear, but a fragile kind of hope. A hope that maybe this time, adults were going to choose right instead of easy. Outside, faint sirens began to swell, the promise of accountability heading their way. And Daniels realized he was running out of road. Daniels took one look at the front door and decided to run. It happened fast. His shoulder twisted out of Jack's grip, and with a burst of movement that surprised everyone, he shoved Lily hard, sending her stumbling backward into the edge of the counter. Jack moved to catch her, but Danny was quicker, stepping in just in time to steady her before she could fall. Daniels lunged for the exit. He barely made it 3 steps. Big Mike moved without a word, one thick arm rising like a gate slamming shut. His forearm caught Daniels across the chest, lifting him off the ground for a split second before gravity dropped him flat onto the linoleum floor. The breath left Daniels in a ragged grunt as he hit. Limbs sprawled, pride cracked wide open. Jack was on him in the next moment, not with rage, but with control. A knee between his shoulder blades, one arm folded behind him, the other pinned. "Don't move," Jack said quietly. "No threats, just certainty." Daniels twisted under him, shouting words that no longer held weight. "This is illegal. You are finished. I will sue all of you. You have no right." Big Mike knelt beside him, not even out of breath. "You had your chance to walk in truth. Now, you can wait on the truth to find you." Carol's voice came over the low hum of sirens growing louder. "Police are 2 minutes out," she called from behind the counter. "Dispatch said multiple units are on the way." Lily stood frozen, eyes locked on the man who had haunted her every quiet moment. Her chest rose and fell quickly, but the trembling had stopped. Danny kept one hand lightly on her shoulder. Not pushing, not pulling, just there, present. "You did good, kid," Danny said softly. "Real good." Lily nodded slowly. "He said nobody would believe me," she whispered. "Said I was nobody. That my parents left me, so no one would care." Weiss. Jack looked back at her from where he still held Daniels to the floor. "You were wrong about one thing," he said, voice gentle now. "You said you don't belong to anyone right now." Lily blinked, confused. He continued, "But you came to us, and we believe that means you're ours to protect. Nobody touches you while we're breathing." The front of the diner exploded with red and blue lights as the first cruiser skidded to a stop. Then came a second, then a third. Officers swarmed the building, weapons holstered but hands ready. Jack slowly eased off Daniels, keeping his palms visible, and let the officers take over. Everything after that moved quickly. Questions, commands, statements. But through it all, the bikers stayed close to Lily. They didn't speak for her. They didn't push themselves into the process. They simply stayed a wall of leather and conviction between a frightened child and a world that had failed her more than once. Detective Evans arrived within minutes, gray coat swinging behind her, notebook already in hand. She approached Lily with a calm patience, introducing herself, speaking in tones meant to soothe, not interrogate. And Lily spoke. Her voice cracked at first, but once it started, it kept going, the words tumbling out like water through a broken dam. She told them about the rides, the after-school programs, the storage unit, the key with the number 19, the way Daniels had watched certain kids, and how he had made her feel like the problem every time she wanted to say something. "He took Sarah," she said again, steady now. "She didn't move. He lied. He lied to all of them." Evans looked toward her team. "We're sending a unit to the storage facility now," she said into her radio. "Get a warrant ready. We're opening that unit tonight." Avery sat. The officers moved fast, but not fast enough for what Lily had already carried for too long. They found Sarah that same night. The lock on storage unit number 19 snapped open under the hands of law enforcement just before midnight. Inside, they discovered more than they expected. Sarah was there, alive, though dehydrated, frightened, and curled up beneath a pile of old blankets. There were traces of others, 2 backpacks, photos, notebooks, small keepsakes that no grown man should have had any reason to keep. What they uncovered pointed not to one isolated incident, but to a network of silence and manipulation that had gone unchecked for too long. The headlines came quick. The local news vans showed up by morning. Reporters circled like flies drawn to smoke. But the bikers, Jack, Big Mike, and Danny, stayed in the background. They gave their statements, answered the questions, and never once tried to make themselves the center of anything, because they knew better. This story was not about them. It was about a girl who had the courage to speak up when her voice had every reason to go quiet. When Lily's parents arrived later that morning, her mother dropped to her knees in the parking lot, wrapping her arms around her daughter like she never meant to let go again. Her father stood behind them, speechless, tears cutting down his face like rivers through dry earth. After long moments, Lily pointed toward the men standing near their bikes. "They saved me," she said softly. He was right there. I was so scared, but they didn't let him take me. Her father stepped forward, reaching out to Jack. "Thank you," he said, voice cracking. "I mean it. If you hadn't—" Jack shook his hand, firm but gentle. "Your daughter saved herself," he said. "She was the one who ran. The one who remembered the details. The one who stood her ground. We just stood in the way." Lily's mother looked up through tears. "Still," she said, "you stood. When you could have looked away, you stood." Big Mike shifted, uncomfortable with the praise. Danny smiled faintly. "It's what we do," he said. "The road's got its own code." Weeks passed. Then one morning, Jack received a letter. The envelope was simple, no return address. Just a neat line of handwriting and a local postmark. Inside was a photograph. Lily standing between her parents at a school ceremony, holding a certificate in her hands. A small golden medal hung from her neck. Her smile was different this time. Full, honest. The kind of smile that belonged to a kid who had been given her childhood back. Behind the photo was a short note, carefully written in block letters. "Dear Jack, Mike, and Danny. Because of what happened, they checked everything. The whole school district. They found 2 more people like Mr. Daniels. Detective Evans said I helped save 23 kids. My parents got me a dog. I named her Hope. Thank you for standing when you could have sat. Thank you for listening when he said nobody would. I'm learning to ride a bicycle now. Maybe one day, I'll get a motorcycle, too. Your friend, Lily." Jack read the letter once, then passed it to Mike. Mike read it slowly, then handed it to Danny, who smiled and tucked it into his vest right next to the napkin sketch Lily had drawn that first day. Outside, the road stretched on. Somewhere out there, another kid might be watching for someone to believe them, and when that moment came, they would be ready. Not because they wore badges or carried titles, but because sometimes, all it takes to save a life is simply refusing to look away.